Well, good afternoon, folks. This is Bill Costanzo, Livestock Guardian Dog Research Specialist at the AgriLife Center in San Angelo. Today I'm going to be answering some producer questions that were posted for our monthly Q&A session. I do want to thank the Sheep and Goat Predator Management Board and also Dr. Redden for providing some leadership for the program, and again the Sheep and Goat Predator Management Board for providing funding for our program here. So we've got quite a few questions today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If anybody has any questions or is looking for some clarification, feel free to post those in the comments as we go along here today. So Nancy Dixon says she wanted to know, is there a way to desensitize a dog to gunshots? She has Anatolian, and they don't seem to take much notice to one or two gunshots during the day, but they have a neighbor who's out at night in a buggy with a spotlight, and there's quite a bit of shooting close to their boundary, and so their dogs kind of aren't sure what to do with this situation. She says they have 3 dogs that are aged 2, 5, and 8, and she realizes that the dogs are on high alert at nighttime, and they wanted to know if when this kind of thing is going on at their place, if they should maybe insulate their kennel so they can kennel the dogs so they don't hear the noise. Apparently the noise travels quite a distance in the valley that they're in. And so I guess my recommendation to you, Nancy, would be yes, I would try to kennel the dogs. I don't know if you need to go as far as soundproofing their kennel, but you may need to do that. If you can put them in a barn as far away from the noise as possible, I think that would be a good thing. They need to know that they have I guess kind of a safe place to go to, and that away from this noise. Some signs that your dogs are having noise anxiety are things like shaking. If you're out there, they're going to be real kind of clingy to you. They're going to be panting, drooling. They might do some pacing. They're going to try to hide. I know my own border collie hates thunder and fireworks and stuff, and he tries to hide whenever he can. Also like some barking, howling, basically just trying to get away from that area. And if it gets really bad, they may even lose bladder and bowel control. And so there are things that you can do to desensitize your dog if they have noise anxiety or noise phobia. One of the first things that you'll want to do is have a recording of that noise that scares your dog, and you're going to want to play that recording at a lower volume than what they normally hear, and in a calm situation with you there, probably your dog on a leash, maybe in a kennel or in the barn, and gradually over time, as you do this every day, you're going to gradually increase the volume of that sound. And so if at any point you see that your dog is scared, or again is doing any of those noise anxiety things like panting or drooling or loss of bowel control, any of that kind of stuff, you've gone too far. And so you're going to need to backtrack a day or two and bring that volume down and try increasing it gradually over time again. If you've done that and the dog is still very fearful of whatever the noise is, there are certified animal behaviorists that you can find if you just Google that in your area, and they can help you work to desensitize your dog to loud noises. The best is if you can just kind of keep that from happening in the first place, and again, just calm them, make sure that you reassure your dogs that everything's okay and they should be able to get through it. Next question is from Kristen Shelby. She has a livestock guardian dog who's going to be turning 2 in October. She said the dog is fixed but continues to want to chase her smaller goats when they run. She's used a beep and vibrate shot collar, and while they're out there in the area, the dog's good. But when she hides to watch the dog goes back to chasing. And so, the dog, I guess, is all over the place when they come out. She jumps up on them, even though they've trained her to stay down. They're not sure they're going to be able to keep her because they just got some barn kittens and she loves them. When Kristen's holding them, but again, as soon as she leaves, the dog scares the kittens off, and she's just afraid that the dog's going to have some problems when they're not around. And so I guess what I would say, the one question, Kristen, if you're on today, what you didn't say is if you're shocking her when she's not, when the dog doesn't see you there. Livestock guardian dogs are pretty smart. They figure things out fairly quickly, and your dog has already figured out that when you're there, she's going to be disciplined, and she's not going to chase your goats around. And so I guess my recommendation, and it's one I give fairly often for this type of situation, especially for an older dog like yours, is I would keep that shock collar on her. I would set up a portable hunting blind, and grab yourself a nice glass of iced tea or cold beer or something like that, and sit out there in the evenings and just watch her. And every time she goes to chase, just shock her. I wouldn't say anything to her at all. I'd try to make sure she doesn't know you're there at all, because that's the problem. Is she already knows that when you're there, she needs to behave, but she needs to behave when you're not there, and that's the thing that you need to teach her. The other thing that you could do is to put a drag or a dangle stick on her to help slow her down. If you're going to do a drag, and if you've got an open pasture, I would probably, since she's 2, I would probably opt for like a small car tire, like a 13-inch tire. Something off a very small vehicle would work well. The other thing that you can do, if you don't have some billies that are mature, see if a neighbor has, some billies that you can either borrow for a time being, or maybe you could take your dog over there and leave her in a pen for a couple weeks with some mature billies. They will help solve that problem altogether. The mature males are not going to tolerate, your dog chasing them, and so they'll do some correction of their own for you. Personally, I think she can still be fixed. I think she's a long way from, needing to be rehomed, but it needs to be done sternly, and it needs to be done quickly at this point to nip this behavior before it gets any worse. So our next question today is from Gail Ferris. She doesn't know anything about livestock guardian dogs, but she has a few acres. And she needs to keep the coyotes away. She trains some field goldens, she says, which are a hunting retriever. And even though they're never out without her, she worries about the coyotes, especially when the females are in heat. And she wanted to know if a guardian dog was the answer. And so, I guess, Gail, I would say, a guardian dog might be an answer, but I would look at some good fencing with hot wire at the bottom and probably also a strand at the top. I think that'd probably be a better answer for you, and it would probably be cheaper also. Unless you have livestock that your livestock guardian dog is going to guard, they're probably not going to be very content, just being around the yard. They like to have a job, and they like to be able to guard something. And so I think good fencing is probably your option, more than having a livestock guardian dog in this situation. Again, unless you have some livestock that you're worried about also. Next question is from Susan Swales. She has a Commodore puppy that's about 5 months old. She plans on keeping him in the cords that they form. And she says that her Central Virginia summers aren't as bad as ours, and so how are we going to manage the Commodore fur with the heat that we have here? And so if you haven't followed our page much or haven't seen the 3 Commodore pups that we have in the bonding project right now, they're all doing fairly well, but they definitely don't have those full cords or full dreads that the adult dogs do. They are starting to form, however, already at this point. So I guess my answer to you, Susan, is that at least according to the breeder that we got the dogs from here in Texas, uh, they have two breeding pairs and lots of puppies from time to time, and they claim that their dogs do just fine. What they had told me is that the cords or the dreads, whatever you want to call them, actually allow the cool air to get closer to the skin because it mats up, and then there's a location around that dread that has just really short hair to it, and so apparently the dogs are able to get cool air down to their skin because of those cords a lot easier than like a Pyrenees, for instance, or a Brahma, because they have a bunch of fur and it's all long, and it's hard for the air to get down close to the skin that way. So, like I said, the pups are doing well so far. Although they're not fully dreaded out, and I guess kind of time will tell how Mabel, Belle, and Pearl end up doing at a cooperating producer this time next year. So, next question is from Heath Sermons. He needs some tips on breaking the dominant livestock guardian dog from keeping others off the dog feeder. He said all three dogs that he has are siblings, and the least dominant one becomes noticeably thinner if he doesn't feed her individually. And so, Heath, I'm assuming that these are fairly older dogs that you have at this point, and obviously they weren't broken of resource guarding as pups. I would encourage everybody out there that if you have multiple, livestock guardian dog puppies, that you break that issue of resource guarding as a puppy. With our pups that are in the bonding project, anytime I see any sort of resource guarding in our pups, they are corrected immediately. I do not tolerate that at all in our puppies, because it just leads to issues like this with older dogs, as it kind of goes on. I do that with the dogs if it's between dog and dog. If it's between livestock and dog, then that's different. As long as our dogs or our pups don't grab one of the animals in the bonding project, I don't generally worry about it, if they're growling and barking at some of the sheep or goats. But for your situation, Heath, first thing I'd recommend is, if all the dogs aren't fixed, I would get them fixed. I'm assuming this dominant dog is probably a male, but it may not be. But one way or the other, they definitely need to be fixed if they're not, to help reduce some of those hormones and aggression issues. The other thing I'd probably go to is obviously you're able to see what's happening with your dogs pretty regularly, it sounds like. And so if they are adult dogs, I would get a shock collar on that adult dog. And, as I mentioned earlier in one of the other questions, set up a pop-up hunting blind and go out and observe that dominant dog from time to time. Anytime that dog is guarding the feeding source, whether it's just a feeder or a feed station, I would shock them, and I would make sure it's on high. They need to know that is not appropriate behavior for them. It should only take a few days to fix that problem, and so you won't have a lot of time that's wasted with this, I don't believe. But if that isn't an option, or for some reason that isn't working, kind of a secondary option that you can go to is setting up a second feeder, a little ways away from the current one. That should allow all the dogs to get fed, and that dominant dog probably is not going to be able to get, from one feeder to the next in time before somebody else gets in there and gets some food. So, Heath, if you have some more questions on that, or if either one of those suggestions don't work, feel free to reach out to me via email or send me a Facebook message, and I'd be more than happy to work with you some more on that situation. But I think that's all the questions we have. We do have one here in the comments. Let's see here. At what age are Maremma puppies ready to guard livestock? Well, I don't know that it's particularly specific for Maremma puppies. I would say for most puppies, no matter what the guardian dog breed is, it's generally what we see is around 8 to 10 months of age. They are generally large enough by that point for the predators that we have here in Texas anyway, to be able to handle most of those situations that come up. Now if you're in a different area of the U.S. And you've got some larger predators, for instance, like wolves or bears or lions or something like that, then I'd probably say you need to wait a little bit longer, probably till 12 or 14 months of age. I do, prefer to have a young pup that goes out, that's 8 or 10 months of age, to be paired up with an older dog. I think that's important for several reasons. One, that older dog, can help guide that younger pup if there's some chasing or chewing or something like that comes up. And then also it gives that younger dog, a mature dog to learn proper things from and support, if there's a situation of multiple predators at the same time coming up. And so it really kind of depends on the dog, but like I said, our pups go out generally 8 to 10 months of age. I usually try to push it to about 10 if possible, just because I like to be able to keep a little bit better eye on the pups when they start going through adolescence, to see if I can correct any issues before they go out to a cooperating producer. So hopefully M&I Ranch, that answers your question there on when pups should be ready. But if we don't have any other questions coming in today, I think we're going to probably wrap this thing up. I do want to mention, the Texas Livestock Guardian Dog Association. If you'd like to join that association or help support the organization, we do have these nice ball caps like this with the logo on there. They come in this tan color and then also a gray. You can reach out to me, and we can get a hat sent to you, and you can pay for one of these. I think we're talking, I think $20, I think, is what one of these hats is, if you're interested in purchasing one. Well, I'll appreciate the comments and the questions from everybody. Our next Q&A session will be August 3rd at 3 p.m. again. That's usually the first Thursday of each month. If you haven't found our photo contest, I'd encourage you to submit some photos. We have some good prizes from some different vendors in and around San Angelo. So thank you very much for watching. Everybody have a good day.